everybody, welcome to Big Balls Fantasy Football, week number 7. The only show with powerful picks, sexy super fans, and is really fun. I am your host, 20-year fantasy veteran, Greg Reifsteck.
And I am your co-host, a huge Chicago Bears fan and a 10-year fantasy veteran, Jenilee. And together we are the beauty
and the beast
of fantasy football experts. So, guess what happened this week?
We won!
Our Bears finally got a win. A pretty amazing win, I have to say, in Atlanta. I was very nervous about this. Atlanta usually plays very good at home, but the Bears went in there, and I think this was the first game that we played an entire game in all 3 phases.
Definitely.
All 3 phases really played well, and it looked like a complete team effort.
I have to agree, and I like the term Jenilee kept using during the game. A patchwork defense actually held us together, and actually Jared Allen, my man, number 69, got a sack finally, broke his silence, and I mean, you could tell me more about the defense. I mean, there weren't a lot of starters on our team.
No, I mean, if you can name the 3 linebackers that started, well,
I can't.
Freaking good for you.
That's why I passed it to her. I'm like, I don't know, and she don't know either.
Because McClellan is still out with his broken hand. Briggs had a rib issue, so he was declared out as of Friday. I believe DJ Williams was out, and John Bostic was out as well. So that's 4 right there that have been playing. And at least DJ Williams has been rotating in since Shea has been gone. And none of them were in. But, hey, the patchwork defense worked.
Yes.
Willie Young, I want to give a shout-out to him because he had 2 sacks in the game.
Oh, yeah.
He is leading the league in sacks. That is awesome. So happy for him. He goes fishing every time he gets a sack.
I remember, yeah.
And, Conti got hurt again. This seems to be the theme where he plays most games, but he gets hurt in the middle of the game. So it was just a very, very good effort for a defense that didn't have any other games all playing together, that's for sure. Jennings made some really great plays. Kyle Fuller made some great defensive plays on Roddy White and Julio Jones. So Atlanta had a tough time getting anything going.
Yeah. Now I was up in Sacramento watching the games. I was up there on business. And you were down here watching with Smash. So you're going to see in our fan segment the Chargers game and the Bears game, and we're going to talk more about the Bears fantasy. Jenilee's going to talk more about the Bears fantasy later. But what was the big game this week that was the real shocker?
The real shocker was the Dallas Cowboys winning in Seattle.
Whoa. Against the 12th man.
Against the 12th man. That's insane. I think they only have had one loss maybe at home in the last, couple seasons?
Eons.
Ever
since they put together that Legion of Boom, that all of the sports reporters like to use that term. They love a good buzz term, but I mean, Dallas, all of a sudden we're watching this game and they rose to the occasion. It was just crazy. Yeah,
it was definitely crazy. And we have some stats from that game we wanted to read off fantasy-wise. Romo's been pretty solid this year. His first 2-3 games were a little rough. He was still dealing with that back injury a little bit. But since then, he seems to have dusted the rust off. He looks good. He went 21 for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did have a fumble, but 0 interceptions. DeMarco Murray, this guy is beasting out this year. I'm personally so happy I have him in at least one league. He is getting me 20-plus fantasy points every week. He has gone over 100 yards in every game this season so far. It's nuts. He went for 115 yards, 1 touchdown, and had 6 receptions for 31 yards. Against that Seattle defense, that is hard to do. It is hard to go for over 100. So he had a great game. Terrence Williams had 2 catches for 70 yards. I had him, so the one bomb that he caught really helped me, that tough catch that they kept replaying. And Des Bryant went 4 for 63. Neither of them had touchdowns, but decent days yardage-wise.
I know. I have Des in 2 of my leagues. Damn you, Des. Damn it.
Yeah, neither of them had those touchdowns. And then Witten went only 2 for 24, but he had a touchdown. And what really impressed me was Dallas's defense only gave up 206 yards So Seattle's offense could not get it going, and it seemed like Dallas's defense, who we were all making fun of at the beginning of this season, they were supposed to be this horrible 30th ranked defense, has shown up big time.
Two things. One, they have a patchwork defense as well. You can't name half of the people on their defense either. And they've just gotten this miracle squad together, and they really have it together. The other thing is, yes, I told you not to play Tony Romo last week. Who the hell would tell you to play Tony Romo against this D? And I'm watching the game, I'm just like, I'm eating my words. But he did a great job. DeMarco Murray really is a big story because we talked about, our studs and duds last week. He is one of the studs. Most of your running backs that went in the first round, except for maybe him and maybe Arian Foster, and you can count them on one hand. Not a lot of the running backs are doing well.
No, Forte's doing well.
And Forte, that's the other
catches,
one. Thank you. Of course I should know this. I'm a Bear fan, duh. But those are the big three. Otherwise, we went through them all last week. McCoy, blah, 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 down the list. Adrian Peterson has his, problems with the law. Just everybody that you took that was supposed to go, everybody's having to pick up the Ronnie Hillmans. Yes, I gave you Ronnie Hillman last week. You're welcome. 100 yards, you got your bonus. But, it was really significant. And as you said, Wilson only went 14, for 126, one interception and a rushing touchdown. Horrible fantasy-wise. Lynch, who I have on two of my teams, I had to watch him only go 10 for 61. Good yards per, or per run, but isn't going to get you really good, except I did okay with PPR. Baldwin, 2 for 32. Curse went 3 for 62. And then Harvin got completely shut down, which is a shocker, especially at home. 3 rushes, 1 yard, and just 3 receptions. It's the 12th man, I don't know if they didn't do their job. I remember reading in the press that they had really loud heavy metal music and crazy ass music playing at the Dallas practices. They were ready. So I'm sure they were running a lot of silent counts and just had their shit together, and they had their game plan in, and we just were watching with our jaw open.
Yeah, well, and I think that was a big emphasis, I'm sure, for Dallas's defense was to slow down beast mode, which they obviously did. They didn't let him get over 100 yards and didn't let him get in the end zone, and to shut down Percy Harvin. And if you can control those two players, you give Seattle's offense a very tough time. And how many yards did Seattle's defense give up? Now, this is a crazy stat.
401 yards and only 1 sack against Tony Romo. Damn. So we were talking before, how do you think the Rams are going to feel going into their game this week?
Man, I do. I feel bad for the Rams because even though it's in St. Louis, Seattle just got basically embarrassed at home, you can say. It wasn't a total embarrassment, but for them, because they're so used to winning at home, they're going to want revenge. So I do feel very bad for the Rams. I think Seattle's defense is going to play much, much, much better this week. And hey, Dallas's offensive line, there's something to be said with that. They're one of the youngest offensive lines in the NFL right now, and look at how well they're running the ball.
Yeah.
And they're obviously protecting Romo well enough for him to produce. So I think that's a really interesting thing that you have so many young guys up there that are just gelling and working really well for Dallas.
Yeah. It's just insane that, they would. You have the Rams this week that had such a great first half against the Niners and then just collapsed.
Yep.
Because they started running a lot of stunts. They started running a lot of pass rush. And that Austin kid got really loused up in the second half. Can you imagine Legion of Boom coming at him? It's going to be horrible. And God damn it, Zach Stacy, could you be a little bit more of a bust for me? And anybody that has Cunningham, I hate you all.
I was going to say, he keeps getting vultured.
Totally. Zach Stacy, if we run another studs and duds, is definitely a dud. And I was talking with somebody in our work league about it, and he hasn't been in another league, and we're just hanging our head about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an interesting week. My pick of Eli didn't turn out at all. The Giants didn't score any points. I just wanted to bring that up because it was like, wow, Eli's having a pretty good season. He should go into this game. I picked him up because I had Drew Brees on a bye, and my goodness, he was such a bust. I can't believe Philly shut them out. That was insane.
Well, and it didn't help that Victor Cruz wasn't like burning up the fantasy world, but he's a great decoy. Now he's gone, so you're dealing with Ruben Randall, some other new rookie person on that team. Eli, it's not going to be good over there on the Giants now.
No. And if you did listen or watch our Studs and Duds last week, I did talk about McCoy having an easier run defense and, hey, wait and see if he gets going.
Yep.
And he got going. He got me, 18 points in both leagues. So
and he's going to do
that's back to the McCoy that we know and love. He got over 100 yards. Sproles is going to be out possibly for a little while.
Yes.
So, they're on a bye this week, but McCoy has these easier run defenses coming up, so if you were smart and held on to him, I think you might end up being happy by the time the playoffs are coming.
Well, that's one thing we said in our Studs and Duds. You don't dump these players.
Right.
You can't. You really can't. They're your first round pick. You put them on your bench, and you either wait from the warm up, or then they get injured, and then that's the end of the road for them. But you can't dump first round elite.
And unfortunately, sometimes the schedule really is that they have 2, 3, 4 games in a row of really, really tough defenses. And if you can suffer through those games, as their schedule gets a little easier, then it'll pay off. So.
Yep. Prost always says it on our show, patience. He's the patience guy. We're the ones fucking around on the waiver wire. Anyway, we got a great show for you. As I said, we have a really great fan segment coming from, what bar are we at? The Hollywood Way,
We're at the Hollywood Way Bar and Grill.
Yeah. So that's coming up. And we're also, don't forget to look us up on social media at facebook.com/BigBallsFantasyFootball. You're watching us on youtube.com/BigBallsFootball. And, of course, tweet us any of your questions at BigBallsFBall. And who's going first this week?
I'm not sure who even went first last week, so stay tuned and you will see who...
We're gonna flip a coin. It always comes down to a coin flip, right? That's the deal?
Yeah, I was going to say, stay tuned. Oh, and don't forget to go to BigBallsFantasyFootball.com. That is our website. Everything's up there for you all. So stay tuned, and we're going to get into our segments.
Yep.